Hello, this is Angela with Parco's Permaculture. I am coming to you this afternoon from in my house and not in the garden. And that's because it's been hailing and raining all afternoon. And I was sitting in my bedroom looking out the window while knitting, and I had like a little thing I wanted to discuss with you all that came to mind while I was sitting here. First, I wanted to talk about bringing the garden inside and how to appreciate what you're growing in the garden, even when you're in the house. So, everybody knows that I'm really into permaculture. I got into permaculture when I was 18 years old. Went to Grinnell College, and there was a organization there that worked with the Women Food and Agriculture Network. And I got plugged into that and met some women doing permaculture, and I was completely hooked. So, permaculture is often something we think about as designing for food and productivity and sustainability. And I know that in my videos lately, I've been talking about how permaculture can be about all of those things, following all the principles, but that doesn't mean that we need to neglect the beauty in living things and growing things and being able to enjoy growing things that have beauty for our eyes as well as feeding our bodies. So I think sometimes in permaculture, people can feel guilty about taking space in their garden to grow pretty things. And I want to encourage you, please do that. I'm going to just say it almost every video. If that gets you out in the garden more, growing more of your own food and more of your own herbs and making your life more sustainable, please grow more flowers. Do it. It's food for pollinators. It's food for your soul. So one way that I try and bring the garden inside is here in my bedroom, is that I try and keep a little jar of flowers or something growing from the garden next to my bed at all times. So every couple days I will pick something new, and it's whatever is seasonal, and it gets me thinking about being out in the garden. When I wake up in the morning, I can smell the rose blossoms, or I can smell, the agastache or the rosemary that's next to my bed. And I think about getting out in the yard. It makes me think about growing things. So today it is my Jude the Obscure roses, which are just starting to bloom and are my favorite rose. I really like David Austin roses because they're hardy and disease resistant. And it is some apple mint, and here I have the lavender is just starting to bud out. This is just an English lavender, nameless variety. And then I have some Nigella Lavender Mist, which is just the buds of it. I find it interesting in all forms. The buds, the open flowers, the seed pods, all interesting for a cut display. So sometimes early in the year, it might just be a jar of rosemary next to my bed, because rosemary here is evergreen. And in the fall, it might be something late in the season like aronia branches, which have bright red leaves, burgundy colored leaves, and some pieces of kale, right, for a fall arrangement. But it's just something that gets me thinking about plants and about being in the garden and about productivity. And it's something that for me is just a small, meaningful little meditation. Then I can go out and see what's looking beautiful in the garden, and I can bring a little bit of it indoors. So while I was sitting here thinking about having the beauty of our garden come indoors, if you look out my bedroom window, I'm going to pan slowly here, what you see is my side yard shade garden. And the first thing that you see is my neighbor's chain link fence. I have wonderful neighbors, but I'm working on this side of the garden so that I have a view of something other than a chain link fence out the window. This garden is very narrow. I've done videos from it before. I'm going to come up higher so that you're not looking through my window screen on my bed. So this is my shade garden. And right now my elderberries, if you saw my video, are cut back dramatically. I did a radical take back of them. So normally this elderberry would fill this whole, all of this, and I would have a cascade of white blossoms and then developing berries all summer long, and it makes a pretty good view. But more and more, I'm working on not only what does my garden look like to me when I'm out in it in the yard, but what is my view from here So I'm adding things along the fence. So here I have a climbing dicentra, a climbing bleeding heart, excuse me, it's not actually a dicentra, but it has yellow flowers that look like bleeding heart. And I'm working on trying to decide what to fill in with this gap. Here I have to the left side of the screen, I have a white currant that normally is trained as a fan. And I have a Canomelies, Japanese quince, flowering quince that is going to be getting bigger and filling in this area. And that way I can obscure the fence. So I need something for right here. So if you have suggestions, this gets almost full shade. If you have suggestions for something I should grow up over my fence, I have thought about putting in another Akebia quinata. I have 2 of them in the yard, and an Akebia trifoliata. But those get real big, so I'm thinking if you have suggestions, let me know. And then I have my low growing things here. And then in front, I have a bed, which if you saw my video on planting pawpaw trees, I have a baby pawpaw that's getting a little bit bigger. They're slow growing. And the goal is that this pawpaw tree, which is, it's right here. And there's an angelica next to it, and ferns, and a lot of natives underneath it, like Dicentra formosa and fringe cup, a lot of columbine. I have a lot of hellebores and hostas because they're easy to propagate, so that makes them an inexpensive plant, even though I know hellebores are not edible. I have salal. Edible things like white currant, salal, aronia berries back here. I have snowberries, things like that. I have huckleberries, both red huckleberries and evergreen. So this pawpaw is going to fill in and provide this nice pyramidal shaped tree. Slowly, I have to be patient with permaculture because I planted it when it was a little stick. So it will fill in and provide really nice, pretty, exotic looking, almost tropical looking foliage for me right out my window. So that I have a nice view here in the summer. And also in the summer, it'll give me a little bit of shade because that morning sun blasts in here. So again, just want to encourage you all, if you are planning your garden, again, think about not only what it looks like when you're out in the garden, but how can you enjoy the garden more from the house? And then I also just want to encourage you all that it is a work in process. And so that if you are frustrated that things aren't coming together quickly, I've been here 11 years and I tweak and I add things as the budget allows. And I just try and enjoy where I'm at in that process and realize that one day this chain link fence will be obscured. And it's okay that it's not right now. I can enjoy the things that are covering it. For example, when this climbing bleeding heart is covered in beautiful yellow flowers, I can enjoy that. And in the meantime, just be content that things are growing and evolving. So I hope that that was encouraging to you all and helpful in some way, trying to think about how you can bring the garden indoors. So if you have suggestions for how you enjoy your garden from your home and how you can bring those elements of green and growing things into your life, even if you're not out in the garden, please feel free and leave them in the comments. If you enjoyed this video and got something out of it, please like it. Please subscribe to my channel. I'm really trying to create a lot more content in lieu of being able to host actual workshops here on my property this year. So I want to be able to continue to do that and offer free content to all of y'all. So thanks again. I'm going to make myself a cup of tea, I think, and get back to my knitting. And I will be back with more videos tomorrow. Thanks.